Hey everybody, welcome to Ticker Requests Live. This is something that I've been doing every Sunday at 9:30 Eastern. I'm going to be trying to do it for the rest of the year. Before I get into the requests, I just wanted to go over what I've done with the channel over the past week in case you guys are curious. So these are the videos that I put out over the past week, more or less. I think there are a couple more down below. Yeah, from this, you can see I've done a lot of this like strategic ETH reserve videos. Moving forward, I'm probably not going to do those too much because if you do look at them, they don't have too many views. And, in this last one, I just was pretty low energy with it. And I don't think it really brings that much value unless there is a big purchase, whether that's from ETFs or from one of the treasury companies like Bitmine or SBET SharpLink Gaming. So I will update when there is news on those, but I'm not going to do it Tuesday through Saturday. It just drains me a little too much. But other than that, some other videos that I've done, I got some cards from GameStop and opened some of those. I don't think those videos have been that popular, but it's just fun to support GameStop and open cards, share that experience with you guys, kind of like relive childhood a little bit. And then I did get access to the vault, GameStop's Power Packs vault. So I did open my first pack, I believe on Friday evening, and so you can check that out. It's only received 39 views, and I'll either open my next pack on Wednesday or when this gets 100 views, so I'll let you guys pick. And I might actually do something a little bit different in that next pack opening, and so I will share when the time comes around for that. But then also I did put out, let's see, I'll do this in the order that makes sense. The Marathon Digital or Mara video. This one, I believe, was not too popular, only 25 views. That is one that I hold that is related to Bitcoin, as they are a Bitcoin mining company that also might be related to, I believe is related to energy infrastructure and AI data centers. So I think that, I'd really like to see that go up as I have illustrated on the thumbnail, but it may not happen. Who knows? Neo, this has been, my most successful video in a while, 1.8 thousand views. So thank you so much for tuning into that one. I hope I'm right about it. I feel like whenever I get really confident with a title like that, the opposite tends to happen. So I'll be keeping an eye on options and, give you guys updates as things stand out to me. But as far as I understand, in the overnight, it is moving higher, so looking good there. And then I also did put out this AMC video that flipped bullish. However, there is a video that I shared that might suggest we'll be getting rejected and get some more dip buying opportunities before we actually break out. But I do think generally the chart is looking better than we've really recently experienced. And then over here, I did put out a video this morning, just very casual. I didn't even make a thumbnail for it, just talking about how this coming week I'm going to stream Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern, so an hour after the market's closed. So that gives me a time from close to the stream to kind of compile some data, some news from X, from the charts, whatever it is, and then just spend half an hour in the stream going over that stuff and taking any requests that might pop up. I am not planning on diving deep into the charts in those videos. I want to keep it limited to 30 minutes so those who are not able to tune in live can casually tune in after the fact, with it not being, an hour, 2 hour long stream like I imagine tonight's stream will be. So yeah, that's just an experiment because I want to be creating more value, more content for the viewers. I want to get into a routine for myself because I eventually want to be, stepping away from my job, focusing on the channel and trading full time. And I think that daily streams could be a really nice way to do that. And then also, Chestad has a comment, and I see Benjamin's also got some comments there. I'll address those in a second. But I did put out this Crypto Corner Sat Stacker BTFD. You know what that stands for. It's only gotten 13 views. That was also kind of a low energy video because I put all of my energy into this AMC video. But your question on alt season, I think that this kind of summarizes it for me, for myself. I more or less have my positions established that I want, other than a few dip buyers and a few daily cost averages. But yeah, I mean, I think that I still think alt season is on. I think that we're all going higher. And then before I get into the chat and stuff, I did just want to pull up some of the posts I have on the channel. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this. Go into the posts tab, or you can't see it, but from the YouTube page, it's just /posts to get to this. And related to alt season, I posted this 5 days ago. Will it retest 69 cents or is 80 cents a higher low? So I was saying warm air rises, talking about Fartcoin. And yeah, I was really proud of myself for buying the dip at 80 cents. But then I was, I guess, surprised this morning, I believe, to see it going lower than 80. But then I placed a dip buy for 69 cents, and that got filled today. And so my thesis is effectively that I think it could go from 69 cents to $4.20. Really just having fun with it. It's stupid. I don't take it too seriously. I did post this video from Andre Jick about 5 days ago. I kind of related to the video, and so I was curious if you guys did, if any of it resonated with you. I reposted this Neo video, but then I followed up on it. This channel, the background NPC, I learned about her from Asmon Gold. I recently started subscribing to him, and he did a reaction video to one of her videos. And I just think she's great, so I wanted to share that with you guys. Colin Gladman, I talk about him a lot. This video gave me a really nice, I think this is what inspired the Mara video. And yeah, I just think it's a really nice video. It's 44 minutes long, but I think there's a lot of great general info. Yeah, and so following that, I posted this. Yeah, so... GameStop got access to the vault over here. When this crosses 100 views, I'll open another pack, or on Wednesday, whichever comes first. So we will have to see. Only 39 views right now. And then this one, what I've been doing in crypto has been dollar cost averaging with Bitcoin, Ethereum on a daily basis. And then the alts, I've kind of varied, not necessarily on the daily time frame, but I have done dollar cost averaging. That has worked very well for me, not only with my percentage, whether I'm up or down, to manage that, but also with managing the emotions, because I really just don't care too much about my positions, because I didn't buy at a top before it sold off. But anyways, in this from Crypto Insider, Ron, I forget his last name. It goes by Crypto Ron Man, Crypto Man Ron, something like that. Ran. I don't know how you pronounce his name actually. But he talked about dollar cost averaging and while also considering the fear and greed index. So I think that's really interesting, and I think that might be something really nice to implement. Basically once I have the position size in Bitcoin that I want or in 2026. So I think that's a really interesting video. And then I got a really nice comment. It's from Pearson, I believe. So shout out to you if you're watching. Pearson is the handle on X. So hopefully I got that right. And yeah, I just, let's see if we click on this. Let's see, read more. I just kind of have this big explanation there of what I'm doing with AMC. And, I think the big takeaway is chill. I'm not chasing, not going too crazy. And I like cash secured puts for giving myself some time between placing an order and the contract expiring with the intention of accumulating more shares or just collecting more premium. So I kind of give an explanation of that, but that's kind of, what I am doing. And I don't want to influence what you guys are doing. So I'm not doing a video on that, but you guys can read it if you like. And then related to AMC, this is from Free Wyckoffs, doing some analysis that there might be a little bit of a pullback since there was a lot of volume behind a widespread candle, but it could have been a wider spread candle. And we didn't see that. And so basically, he's talking about how there could be a retracement. However, I caution, and because I have watched this video since posting this, however, I will caution that he was being very cautious with Unity software, and I had some calls. I think I just had 2 of them left, so not really a big deal, but I had a stop loss that filled in profit, but just managing risk because Free Wyckoffs was suggesting that the price would come down. And so I think that it's good to, and with the Unity software position, I do hold all the shares that I was holding before. So I'm all in shares in Unity, no contract. So I think that's fine. But I think it's good to just, have a plan if in case it does pull back, like you can see on that thumbnail. But if it doesn't, have a plan for that as well. But this would be a little bit more bearish than, the pullbacks that I was talking about. So good to be cautious of that. But anyways, I am going to check out the chat. I see that some people are posting some stuff in there. And so let's see. Hey, Chestab, what's up? I'm going to pull up your chat just so I can kind of, address that. And then Benjamin, how's it going? Happy Sunday. Hopefully you're doing well. And then Anon, Ron Burgundy. I don't know what that means. But yeah, I do have, maybe that's, did he drink beverages on that? I do have a beverage here. And to be honest, this is going to be I had a beverage earlier. I'm not going to say what type of beverage. You guys will be able to see it in a second. But it's been like 2 weeks. I've kind of, had a little bit of a detox, and I was doing some work earlier. I popped open a can, and this one gave me a little bit of fuss. You can see the foam up there. But I do have this, so cheers to you guys. Cheers to Sunday, the week ahead. I feel like generally overall it's been a rough September, not necessarily in the markets, just, kind of in the country, just like a lot of raw emotions. And yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's nice to be here. It's nice to be here with you guys. And yeah, so thank you so much for joining. Cheers to you. And so, and then Chested, can I take a look at RIVN? I definitely can. And I'm just going to kind of go in the order of the chats that are there, and I'll pull them up as I do go over them. And so Chested says he posted this before the stream. So just a note to you guys, if you do have requests, and I do have the link posted for the stream, you can put in the live chat what you want me to go over, and then I'll see it when the stream does start. But so Chested says, hey, Andy, or hi, Andy, can you please discuss your thoughts on alt season? Some people online are saying it might be over / not going to happen. Curious to hear my thoughts. And so I have to say, let's see. So I think kind of like a nice perspective for me is just, they're not necessarily super exciting videos. Really, it's more or less just like a journal for myself. But and actually I'm going to flip back over so it doesn't animate. But so for Crypto Corner Stacker, that's 20 different cryptocurrencies, primarily Bitcoin and Ethereum. But then I also have a pretty sizable position in Doge. Also RLC, which is like ranked sub 300 in the market cap. I also have a pretty notable position in Ondo. And another one on here that's kind of small. Let's see. That other one is going to be, Loop Ring, which maybe you can see right there. That was kind of like a GameStop crypto last cycle. And so with that, I think that let's see. I think that altcoin season is still on. Maybe I'll pull up the charts here for a second. I mean, this is what I think is happening. So, my thesis really is just kind of based around ETH. I think ETH might be cooling off a little bit relative to the others. But, what I think is happening with ETH, testing the 50-day simple moving average there, SMA, and that's around 4,350. I talked about price coming down to around 4,300, or maybe coming down to, oh yes, I'm going to actually add it back here. The, let's see, the 236. I thought that was a little bit higher up, but I guess I'm mistaken. weird. Am I looking at this in the log scale? I was looking at it in the log scale. Going to look at stuff linear. And yeah, the 236 here is around 4,285. So I feel like what we're seeing now is kind of a fake out breakdown below the 50 SMA. Maybe we get a retest to 4,300, 4,200, something like that. But I don't think it's going to be hanging out for very long below the 50-day simple moving average. I think this is really just a dip buy opportunity because, you see that the general sentiment online is alt season is going to be canceled or that it's not happening. And I think that that's really just like, let's just zoom in here for a second. When is the good time to buy? Is the good time to buy up here when everybody's excited? Or is the good time to buy over here where everybody's saying that alt season is canceled? And so maybe this is not the best time to buy. Maybe down here will be the best time to buy, or maybe even a little bit lower, who knows? But this is definitely a better time to be buying than over here. So for me personally, I am sticking with my thesis of Ethereum going to 8,000 whether by the end of the year. And I've contemplated trimming at 6,000. I'll probably stop buying on a daily basis at 6,000. Or maybe when we start to get above 5,000, it just depends on my own personal finances. And I can't just be buying every single day forever. But yeah, I have a lot of conviction in that maybe the cycle is extended a little bit longer because of institutional involvement. But yeah, if you ever doubt alt season, if you ever doubt Ethereum, whatever it is, I think that just listening to Tom Lee, I think that he's a great person, has had a really clear head with the V-shaped recovery that we hit bottom in April. And that's really when I started to get excited about Ethereum. And then also, I'm going to pull this up. I don't know if I'll be able to pull up the chat, but this is, a new person that I started to, let's see, this is DGen Ed. Yeah, I don't want that. I want YouTube, so you can see all of the crap that I watch on the channel. And this is a guy I would encourage you guys, and I might, here, let's see. You guys, if you guys are interested in video games, you guys should, actually, no, I won't do that now. I won't get derailed. But yeah, Rare Game Room Gaming, very small channel, does really nice content. I really want to see his channel grow. But anyways, let's see. I don't know how to pull up my chats and exchanges, but the person that I recently started following, Crypto, I'm going to switch over to this so it doesn't pop up, Crypto Wendio. She is a person that I was aware of 4 years ago in the cycle, or the bull market of last cycle. And she talked about, I think it was just in a short, she talked about, moon bags. And I never really understood what those were. She introduced me to them. And I didn't follow her until recently. I just recently subscribed. But in her videos, she's actually the channel that gave me the idea to do like a 30-minute stream every day just to kind of give updates, because she does that. And she's mentioned recently that everybody's getting really impatient and, asking is alt season canceled? And, maybe it takes longer than we expect. That's how the market works. So don't be surprised by that. If, let's see, things do pull back, you could think of it as, like alt seasons canceled, or you can think about it as, prices going down, opportunity is going up. And so I posted a comment on one of her videos, opportunity is going up, chill people. I just laughed. And she's a super cool YouTuber and person on X because she actually interacts with people. She's responded to me. And so I think that's really cool. And also, there aren't that many women in this space. And so it's really cool to, see her talking about stuff. And I have to say, I don't know. I think that, and also with let's see, the background NPC, It's so cool to just go online and find women who have perspectives that, just resonate with you, as a guy. And, I think that Wendy has a really great balanced perspectives. And yeah, so I just have so much respect for her, and I think her channel is really great. So I'd encourage you guys follow her. She does do daily updates on, she is, pretty big into H-bar. She talks about XRP a lot. I think that's because she spends a lot of time on TikTok, or she has her channel on TikTok. And I was thinking about it. Maybe I'll pull this up since you were asking. Oops, I'm not in the right over here. But yeah, she covers XRP and, of course, Solana. And basically it's like, Bitcoin rotating into Ethereum, then Solana, stuff like that. But she's talked a lot about retail, especially on TikTok. Not at all on X, but definitely on TikTok, being bullish on XRP. And so if I pull, let's see, CoinMarketCap up over here, it's going to pull up loop rings. That's like what my default is. But let's just see, let's look at my watch list. This is, these are the tickers that I go over. And actually, maybe I can just go over CoinMarketCap. I don't even need to do my watch list. We can see Bitcoin is number 1. And I'm going to zoom in on this so you guys can see it a little bit better. And so for CoinMarketCap, market cap over here, Bitcoin, 2.2, almost $2.3 trillion. Then the number 2 is Ethereum at about $500 billion. And then under that, the number 3, which used to be number 4, but they've gone past Tether, and that is XRP. They've got a market cap of $175 billion. So yeah, they're the number 3. And so the way that I think about this is like, why is retail on TikTok, which, I have not been involved in crypto on TikTok. That seems a little bit newer to me. Why are people bullish on XRP? And I was thinking about it. Look at the price here. Let's see. I'm new to crypto. I know nothing about it. I don't understand market cap. And I see, well, Bitcoin's, over 100,000 per coin. I'm never going to be able to afford one of those. And then Ethereum, let's say, for me, when I started investing, it was like $1,000. That was the amount of money. Can't even buy a whole Ethereum with that. And then so the next one on the list is XRP. And so $4,000, you can get a ton. You can get like 300 plus XRP. And is that right? Yeah, for $1,000. And so I feel like that's why people are bullish on that. Personally, I don't really like XRP, not necessarily as the utility of it or anything, but from my experience moving it around my wallets and stuff, I find Bitcoin and Ethereum to be very easy. I also find Solana, Dogecoin, whatnot to be very easy to move around. Sorry, Dogecoin is, let's see, right there. I find them to be easy to move, but XRP, it's like you move it into one wallet and then you move it to a different wallet and you have to leave one XRP back there. So it's like $3 that you're leaving behind. Generally, personally, I don't really like XRP that much for myself, but maybe the utility for like banks and stuff, I think it's really good. But yeah, generally, I think that alt season's going to be here, and really like the reason why, let's see, I'm going to pull it up on the channel here, but from videos, I guess. Let's search, my videos, ETHster. Let's search ETHster. So this video here, happy ETHster, Ethereum hopping to 8,000 by end of the year. That's still my thesis. And really, that is the basis for my Crypto Corner Sat Stackers that I've been doing. And, there's a very, I go over the thesis in that video. It's only gotten 137 views, so I'd encourage checking it out. But that is based on really just like coming into support that was based on, I believe, a pivot low and a pivot high and a pivot low, is kind of either or opposite. So not, bottoms. And thinking that would be support, and then connecting tops, they would line up with around 8,000 by end of year on the linear scale. And I guess, I can just go over that real quick from here. A lot of crap on this chart. And I'm going to switch over to the weekly. But yeah, it's also, Eric Trump saying great time to add ETH. And he was saying that over here. And, big picture, that was a great time to add ETH. But yeah, these are like the levels that I had been eyeing. So this green one was, pivot high to a pivot low. And then that ended up marking the bottom pretty beautifully around 1400. And then I have it in red here based on the high from the end of 2017 and the highs from 2021. If we, adjust this to, just get 8,000 on the axis over there, we can see that by like the end of the year, January 5th right there, let's see, December 29th, that red line is above 8,000. So that's kind of where that thesis came from. But if I do switch to the log scale, let's check this out because it's going to be a little bit different. And we actually have this, I find very interesting. We have a convergence of not only that same trend line on the log scale though, but same pivot points, that intersecting with the yellow trend line, which is the lows. And that is around 18,000. So, I feel like ETH could be going from like 6,000 to 20,000 basically. I have no idea, but yeah, if you listen to Tom Lee talk about it, he is gives me a lot of confidence, not only in my analysis here, but just in market sentiment. And when everybody is panicking, when we're starting to see a break of moving average, maybe this comes down to like 3,800. Who knows? But if that does happen, maybe what we see, actually, maybe what we see, so 3,800 is right around there. Maybe what we see is a massive dip down to 3,800. Everybody gets spooked. Bull market's over. But then we get a violent push back up, then retest of that moving average. And then we go to new all-time highs for Ethereum. So yeah, the market has a way of playing with us. And they're very boring videos, I imagine, but they're helpful for me, the Crypto Corner Sat Stackers, which I do every Saturday. So if you're starting to doubt the alt season, and I guess this is, what I was going to mention when I was pulling up the videos here. I really started to have conviction in this because about a year ago, listening to Scott Melker talk, the Wolf of All Streets, he was always talking with Mike McGlone and Gareth Soloway, and they were always being very cautious, if not bearish, and Scott just had to sit there and take it. But then, upon the, election results and stuff, and Donald Trump going to be the next president, things started to move up. And that's when I kind of realized, like, Scott's been very disciplined and very, professional, just taking all of this heat from people who don't think things are going up. And that just gave me a lot of conviction in the 4-year cycle, whether that's with Bitcoin or with crypto. And so, yeah, I think that 8K by end of the year is still a possibility. So that's what I'm sticking with. And maybe I'm wrong with it, though. My average on ETH is sub 3,000. So, I'm sitting pretty in that position. But yeah, I bought the dip on Fartcoin today. I also bought the dip on Loopring. And I also bought the dip on Arbitrum today. And then also some normal daily dollar cost averaging. But as far as just being aggressive with buying, I'm going to kind of chill for the time being until it's like, oh my gosh, this is like a real dip that I cannot resist. We're not there yet. I think that we really need to see, something like what I had just drawn over here. Let's see, can I? Nope. Let's see. Yeah, if it were to come down here and then go up, then I'd be, okay, I'm going to add some more to my positions, but just chilling more or less. But yeah, so hopefully that was helpful for you, Chestat. And then I'm going to continue on with the other chats. And so I'm just going to pull them up as they do pop up. So Benjamin saying, hi, Andy. So I'm just going to cheers to you, Benjamin, and hope that your Sunday's going well and that you're looking forward to a nice week ahead. I'm actually taking off work this week to not only focus more on the channel, but also focus on doing some work around the house. Caulking, painting, or really just priming, sanding. I hate it, but the season's changing. I got to finish that stuff up. And so what are my thoughts on Mara? So I will pull that up. So let's see. And that's, I don't know if I can add another one to my list of stonks here. Add a symbol. Hopefully I can add it, but I think that I don't have a subscription. So I will just type it up here. And let's see. So Mara, let's pull up that chart. And so that's going to have like the same doodle from the video that, I put out a little over a week ago. So these are ordered by the latest. So Mara breakout and retest, launch, or just wait. So sorry, I'm reading this improperly. Mara breaking out, retest and launch, or just launch. And so that's only received 25 views. I'd encourage checking that out if you haven't seen it and you are curious on my perspective with Mara, but I'll give kind of just a little bit of an overview. So, I was expecting it to pull back to retest let's see, 50-day simple moving average. I need to get better at just saying 50-day SMA. I always have to say it, but that's at 1666. And so for me personally, I don't have any buy orders placed for Mara, but I did place an alert just so I'm aware at 1666, or maybe actually it was at 16. I'm not sure. We can pull up the chart in Webull in a second. But yeah, I was expecting it to dip. And, from this day, and we effectively got that the day after, didn't go as low as I had doodled out here, but now it's going higher. We do see that volume is coming down as it's going higher. So maybe that suggests that these moves to the upside are not really backed by that volume. However, if we look at the upside from Thursday, that's up 6.69%. Over here on Tuesday, up 7.94%. So those are some pretty notable moves. But something that we can see here is that we see volume increasing. And we see here there's a little bit of divergence because you see that little dragonfly doji and volume had increased relative to the day before. But then we see widespread candle here, volume behind it. So that looks good. We see volume pull back some as we see some consolidation. So I think that looks good. Volume then goes up a little bit with a widespread candle here. So that's looking good, but it's also less of a spread than over here, and it's lower volume than over here. So that makes sense. And then here we do see, the kind of consolidation with lower volume. So I think things are looking pretty good. I think that it might be pulling back. Maybe it could come down to, let's see, I'll just put a little line up here. Maybe it could come down to like the tops there, like 1750, considering that there was, basically the high and the close from Tuesday, September 16th. So that close was at a price of 1753 where I have it marked. And so I could see it pull back to retest that. And we can also see that over here, there was some consolidation right around that exact same level, pretty remarkable. And so if we do pull back, I think that there's a lot of support there, not only from right here, but also from here. And then that moving average, look at how that held price below it for so long. Let's just see, get a measurement for time. How long did it stay below that moving average? That was 32 trading days or 47 calendar days right there. And so I think that if we do retrace to, like I said, 1666, I would think that would act as some pretty notable support, and also being in line with, are we going into alt season? Is Bitcoin going to continue past its prior highs? I think yes. I think that we could be seeing 150,000 Bitcoin by the end of the year. And I think that's probably a fairly conservative target, but maybe it bleeds into 2026, maybe like 135 is the high. And I think that I've talked about 135 before. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I see there. And so like with shares, I think I just have some shares down here, not a huge position, but I don't plan on buying anymore. What I do plan, or not necessarily plan on, and actually I have my email open and I don't want to reveal that. So just 1 second, I am going to switch views so you're only looking at my Chrome. And then this is potentially scary for me. Okay, you guys can't see it. Looking at my energy bill. I just quit my email. And by the way, speaking of energy bill, I paid some bills before starting the stream. I hope you guys are starting your week with your bills paid. But yeah, Mara, let's come back to this, and I'm going to switch back to the other view so you can see my other windows. So looking over here, this is one that was requested in a comment, so I should come back to that. But yeah, thinking about the stonks, Mara, Marathon Digital over here. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, it could come back to retest this trend line that I drawn here. It's kind of like a legacy trend line. And that does seem to be somewhat historically significant, although we did break below it here, but maybe we retest it, and that would be coming down to around 1750. So I'd look for that. And, what I really wanted to pull up is, let's see, contracts that I have. These are some contracts that I hold. And so for Mara, I do have a $50 strike call that expires in January. So you can see it back here, January 16th. And so what I had done with this, I don't know if Fibonacci extensions are useful for contracts, but what I did is, as you can see here, I just did, from here, not considering the kind of like blow off top, because then that just put the target up higher to like 120. And so I just put it there, got consolidation highs there. I feel good about that. And so that 100% move, so that's the distance from the bottom here to the top, from the bottom at 15 cents, that would be like 80 cents or 81 cents. And so for me personally, I do hold a number of these contracts. I'm just going to pull it up on my phone so I can tell you what I hold. And it does look like it's down about, not the contract, but the shares are down about 0.55% in the overnight, but that can change. And one of the things about crypto, Scott Milker talks about, the Wolf of All Streets, he said that, whenever there's a Sunday pump, something's fishy, something's going to be reversed. Right now, what we're seeing is a Sunday dump. And you might have seen some posts about, people who are long being liquidated with this drop. And so I think that what's happening is, hey, things are looking pretty bullish in crypto, but people are starting to get a little bit bearish. But because like Wall Street's bullish on it, it's going to be hard to move during the week. So let's do a Sunday dump, liquidate over leveraged longs. And then once the market opens, maybe there's still a little bit more panic selling to come in. But generally that's going to be bought up maybe by, so not Bitcoin, but Ethereum bought up by Tom Lee. Maybe Michael Saylor does some more buys for strategy. And then sentiment shifts. Maybe we get the Clarity Act, some news on that. So yeah, I mean, I think that crypto in general is just looking good. But anyways, for this contract, the $50 strike call that expires in January, I have 15 of them, and my average is 37 cents, which is right around, looks like that 50-day simple moving average, it says MA, but it's a simple moving average. That's the yellow line. So that's where my average is. And I did previously had a limit sell at 60 to sell 13 of my 15 to have a moon bag for the remaining 2 at 60. And so if we look over here, what was the high on Tuesday? It was actually 60. Would I have gotten a fill had I had an order placed there? I imagine not. But Am I disappointed that I didn't get the fill? I mean, a little bit, but I'd rather sell at 80. So I have a limit sell for 13 of those at 80. Maybe I regret it. Maybe it goes up to 100 or, higher, but that would be good for me. The one that I do have as far as crypto goes, as far as contracts, I do have some IBIT contracts, which are the 90 strike calls for November. And I actually got these because of a guy, Mike Albert, on X. He was a guest a couple times on Wolf of Wall Street or Wolf of All Streets. And yeah, I think that he's got like a really clear head and he's in this position. And so I thought I'd tag along. I waited to buy until I think it got to like $1. And then I've been buying more aggressively down here, but not super aggressive. My average, I'm just pulling it up on my phone, is 71 cents. So like right here where the cursor is, right there. And so I'm in the red on this. And personally, I don't really like contracts that expire so soon. It's like a couple months from now. But I'm just going to try to have conviction. And if this goes to 0, then that sucks. But I feel like we're going to be seeing some volatile moves to the upside. But maybe I'd get out at break even. I don't know. Right now, I do have limit sells. But those limit sells only begin at 106, it looks like. So right around that 50-day simple moving average. But yeah, not financial advice. I have no idea. But with it consolidating down here, I think that this is, a good opportunity time. But, contracts are risky. And for me, 2 months between now and expiration makes me a little anxious. So, you do what works for you. But yeah, I mean, I think that Mara could still be heading up towards $21, $22. It did close on, I don't want to be doing that. It did close on Friday at $18.29. And if we look at the, let's see, the chart over here, because I don't think I can get overnight on TradingView. If I switch this over to, let's just do the hour, we can see that it is pulling back a little bit, but still above 18. So, I mean, I think that even if it pulls back, like I said, to around 1666, that's where I've got my alert. Let's just make sure that it is at 1666. Yeah, I mean, I'm just chilling with it. I'm not too worried about it, whether it's the contract or the shares. And the reason why I think it could be going up to 22 is because of this inverse head and shoulders pattern. I go over that in the video, so I'd encourage you check that out. And actually, I probably drew it up in that video so you can kind of experience my thought process with putting that up there. But when we do get up to there, $21, $22, there might be some resistance. So that might actually be a time to trim or take some profits, whatever, or, just chill. If it consolidates here, it might be like a bull flag, and then we get a move up to like 26. So those are, generally my thoughts on Mara. I am not being, tricked into taking small profits on either my shares or my calls with Mara or IBIT selling at a loss. I'm just chilling. So I think that's kind of the way to do it. But yeah, so hopefully that's helpful. And then, Anon is saying Ron Burgundy. And so I don't know exactly what you're referencing there. If it's just that I'm a charismatic newsman, I appreciate it. But with that, I'm going to cheers you. Yeah, we need more newsmen like me, don't you think? Like Ron Burgundy. And then Chess Dad has, can you take a look at RIVN? I definitely can. And also there's some more chats that I'm just going to pull up. Let's see. Nason says, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, but Neo short-term forecast, I will go over that. Marvin is asking about Hycroft mining. That's a really interesting one. That's one that I've seen, like whenever people post about Hycroft, going super high, the options data is not very interesting to me with Hycroft. So I don't have a position anymore in them. And because it's like, there's AMC, there's GameStop, AMC, Hycroft, there's also like Unity. There's so many meme stocks. I decided to take a break from Hycroft And so I'm not in that anymore, but whenever people will be talking about it going really high, I'd look at the chart and it's like, well, I mean, that looks like it might be at resistance. And so if options data was interesting, maybe I'd buy some puts, or if I shorted stuff, maybe I'd short. So I feel like there's some good, also talking like related to alt season. If everybody online is being bearish, saying alt season's canceled, stuff like that, usually the opposite's going to happen. We tend to get faked out. And so like with Hycroft mining, I think that if everybody's really bullish and excited about it, maybe there's going to be a pullback. If people are getting concerned, maybe that's a good opportunity to add. But they have been really outperforming lately, and so I'm kind of sad I'm not in it, but I will pull that up. Anon, I did go over Marathon, so hopefully that's helpful. You do mention RIOT. I'll pull up a tweet from, let's see, I don't know if it's Watcher Guru. I'll have to search my likes, and there's probably going to be some garbage that I like. So don't take offense, but just, oh no, I think it was actually Trend Spider. So we'll look it up from them. But they made a comparison between RIOT and Mara that I think will make you pretty excited about what's going to happen with Mara and maybe also with RIOT as well. I said, Ron something earlier. Yeah, so that's Ranman. I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's RAN. But that is, this guy here, he's got his own channel here, Crypto Insider, but he is also like the head of Crypto Banter. And from Crypto Banter, I don't know these guys, but somebody that I really like a lot. I just think that he brings so much energy and just does really good, clear thinker. Let's see, this guy, Sheldon from Crypto Banter. I just think that he's a really good explainer of things. And so, yeah, this guy right here, Ron, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but yeah, I guess you could call him Ron Burgundy if you want, but it's RAN is how you spell his name. And let's see, I'm just going to pull back to the charts. This stuff's not pulling up over there. And then Anon is saying, why did AMC buy a stake in Hycroft like 3 years ago? I don't get it. I think it's really just kind of like to hedge, so how, like how GameStop has some Bitcoin, how some companies, well, they're not actively buying crypto and stuff, but they just hold some on their balance sheet. I think that was kind of like, hey, this is kind of a long-term investment for AMC to help out a struggling company and then to hedge against the dollar with gold. And that's, like the dollar used to be based on gold, but then we diverged from that in the 70s and we started really, having this fiat currency where we just had certificates that were not based on gold anymore. I don't know the history too well, so I'm probably butchering it. But we went off the gold standard. And so then it's been, people hold gold because you can't inflate it away. And I think the reason why we have a 2% inflation goal coming from the Fed, so like Jerome Powell, I believe it's 2% because the amount of gold that's mined on an average year inflates the supply about 2%. And so I might actually ask Grok that, just out of curiosity, is the reason we have a target inflation of 2% due to the amount of gold that is mined each year, which inflates, which inflates gold supply by, or gold, I'll just do gold, by 2%. And so I'll ask Grok that and see what Grok has to say. And so, no, the 2% target inflation rate in many central banks, like the Federal Reserve or European Central Bank, is not tied to the annual gold mining supply, which has historically averaged around 1% to 2%. So I think maybe that's just kind of like coincidence of the existing global gold stock, but isn't the driving factor. Here's a clear breakdown. In short, let's just skip to that. Sorry, Grok, you're a nerd. In short, the 2% target is a deliberate policy choice for economic stability, not a relic of gold mining rates. If gold were still the anchor, we'd see wider swings in money supply tied to discoveries like Witwatersrand in the 1890s, which it isn't. For deeper reading, check Bernanke's 2015 Jackson Hole speech on inflation targeting origins. So, I guess I was wrong about that, but I guess it's just, kind of coincidence. The annual gold mine production adds about 1.5% to 2%. So, to me, that seems like there's some parallels there, but apparently not officially. And maybe that's just, the Fed spinning it because we're off the gold standard, even though we're effectively, trying to mirror it in that sense, or we are mirroring it. But yeah, anyways, I did go over Mara, and so now I'm going to pull up Chess Dad's comment to look at the RIVN chart. And I have to say, I believe I went over RIVN last week, and whenever I go over, it's like, even like Mara, it's like I did a video over the past week. I forget what I said about it. All this stuff blends together, so I don't know what I was saying last week about RIVN. I spelled it out rather than doing that. Oh, well, so I got some doodles here. And so let's see. So this was Friday. So I would have talked about this after that had already hit. And so I kind of like doodled it going up. And also, I had this scenario of it breaking down, thinking that, hey, maybe it's a bear flag. So I'm not sure. Is this the one that I went over last week? I imagine so. Yeah. So, I think this was an illustration of I would have expected that to be a bear flag, but that did not happen. And so what I might do is I'm going to delete that so I don't confuse myself the next time I go over this. And then I'm going to delete this extension because that clearly did not happen. And so let's think a little bit more about this. I'm going to try to think about the volume, try to think about the RSI. So what do we have? Okay, thinking about, I'm just going to doodle some stuff, which I'll doodle stuff, but I'll delete it as I go. And maybe actually, I don't use the highlighter that much, but does that fade? I've seen highlighters that fade, and I kind of like that. Visibility. Oh, I can adjust the visibility on that. So it would be cool if it kind of faded. Visual order, visibility on intervals. Okay, so, maybe I won't do the highlighter since I'm not too familiar with it. And I'll just do a little brush. So what we have over here is, maybe I don't want to doodle it. I'll just use the trend line tool. We have, lower highs, slightly lower highs. And so with that, we want to see lower highs in the RSI. Otherwise, we're getting bearish or hidden bearish divergence. And we are seeing lower highs in the RSI. So I think that's good. And I'm actually going to remove your chat so we're not blocking the RSI down there. And as this has moved up, how have we seen volume? Volume has been fairly elevated, but we've also seen from here, from the high in the price as well as the RSI, we've seen a lower high in the price in RSI as well as a lower high in the volume. So I think that's good because there's no divergence there at all. We're seeing that price action is reflected in the strength and the volume. So there's consistency there. So I think that that's good. Where could this then be going? So let's take a step back to think about that. I think generally, big picture, I got this yellow trend line that we have broken out from. I feel like I drew this last week, because that just looks really good bouncing here and then going up higher lows. And then we also have this other trend line, which is a little bit rough over here. And I mean, did I draw that on the log scale? Yeah, if you do that on the log scale, it looks a little bit better. Yeah, and then you see, you know, the highs over here, kind of like the pivots over here, both of those lines, and then the white line intersects over here. And so looking at that on the log scale, I could see it finding some resistance right around 1530, and so it closed at 1438 on Friday. So I could see it going up about another $1 before maybe it finds some resistance before it pulls back some. But I flip over to the linear scale. I actually like the look of this chart better on the log scale. These lines that I've drawn just look a little bit nicer, so I might actually just do the analysis based on that. And yeah, I mean, because if it moves up to like 1530 and then like consolidates there, that could be a really nice bull flag to break out from this trend line. So I think that could be really nice. And then if I do, let's see, that Fibonacci retracement, I have it apparently pinpointed. It was locked. I just unlocked it. I'm locking it back again. I'm just going to extend it forward a few days. So if we look at the coordinates, let's see, it was at 298. I'm just going to make it 305. So that's going forward into the future a little bit. And so from that, you know, because the pivot points still, you know, with the high over here, still with the lows over here. So that's still good. But yeah, I mean, like, let's see, if this does pull back, 50% retracement would bring it to around 1320. So that's possible. And so maybe what I want to do, in case, you know, you want me to follow up next Sunday, I'm going to delete this doodle because, actually, maybe I'll leave it up there because I am still thinking that it could go up to 15. And then maybe after that, let's see the path tool. Maybe after it comes up here, I think we could see it come down to either the 382, which is around 1360. Maybe it bounces before coming down to the, let's see, 50% level. That's at, like I said, 1320. To then find support at that trend line, as well as perhaps the 50-day simple moving average, which is currently at 1316. You can see it right there. And then once it comes down to that, then maybe it bounces and then just kind of repeat inverse head and shoulders type of pattern, find that 382 as support again, and then we start to do this. And then from there, maybe it breaks above that downtrend, pulls back to find it as support. And then, you know, from there. So I think that what we could be seeing potentially with RIVN from current price or closing price on Friday, I think we could see an upside move of about 6.5%, maybe getting rejected there. And then from where we're currently at, maybe a pullback by about 5.5% or about 8.25% down before potentially finding a bottom. And so that is what I would look for with RIVN. And so right now, and I mean, I could be wrong about this. Maybe it doesn't, you know, maybe it doesn't stop there. Maybe it goes through. And then what you'd want to see, maybe it comes up to here to like 17, corresponding with the highs over here. And then that ends up being a double top. It pulls back here to find that as support, and then it goes. So those are a few different scenarios that could play out. And so this one I'm going to leave as white. This one I will change to, let's see, red, because that's kind of the more, let's see, maybe I want to do that as orange because I don't think that's necessarily that bearish because it would go up a little bit. And that would be suggesting higher there. And then this would be like the green scenario. And I'd be really excited about that one. Maybe I will make this red though. There. And then just so my drawings remain white, I'm just going to change this to orange and then change it back to white. So any new ones will be white. But yeah, those are kind of the scenarios that I see with it. Getting up to 15, if we can break above to 17, I think we'll definitely get rejected there. Pull back to 15, 30, and then maybe bounce, or maybe it does break down from there. That's also a possibility. Or if we do go up to 15.30, get rejected, pull back to somewhere in the $13 to $14 range before then potentially bouncing back up. So hopefully that is helpful there with the comment on RIVN from Chestad. And then Nason is saying NEO short-term forecast. So for me, whenever I make a video where I'm like, this is bullish, this is going to squeeze, whatever, I feel like I jinx myself because it's just like too obvious, And so NEO is probably one that I will be following up on, maybe on a daily basis with the daily afternoon streams, just very briefly, maybe 5 minutes or less, go over it. And maybe I'll follow up with a video too if I find some, or maybe a post. It's always good to check the post page on the channel, because if I don't have time for a video, but I find some interesting options data or something in the chart, maybe I just post a screenshot of it to the channel or on X. You can follow me over there. This is my profile because I'm Andy, and and I can't have DGen Ed because somebody else has it. But you can also call me Ed, DGen, Andy, Andrew, DGen Ed, DGen, whatever. It doesn't matter. But yeah, that's my page over there, so I can share some more casual posts over there. But what was I talking about? NEO over here. So this is one thing that I feel like I had to have had in that video. But where there's this left shoulder and head. So maybe we could start to see a pullback to around, 520. So short term, I don't know. But I think that, a thing that I really want to look for with NEO, and I haven't seen anything yet, and I was actually, looking up other options data here for NEO. I was just searching NEO so I get the full list, and then I was looking for the monthly contracts. So next month, October 17th, and then looking at calls, different strikes. And I was looking at the higher strikes to see, have these been added? Because if new strikes get added that are higher, that's like, oh, people are bullish. We want to try to suppress the stock price. So let's say, hypothetically, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but let's say NEO does start to move up to 13. And let's say we're all really bullish on NEO, so we're buying lots of calls. So any of these calls that you buy from a strike of $1 all the way up to $13, if price is going up to 13, you'd be fine to exercise any of these contracts if price is at 13. Because even if you're exercising the $13 strike call, you'd be buying them at 13, so it's still a fine deal. And so with that, options kind of create leverage in a stock, because each one of these contracts, each individual contract, so not based on the strike, but just, buying one contract, that represents 100 shares. And if you decide to exercise it, the market maker needs to provide those shares. And so if the market maker doesn't have all of the shares to be provided to those who are exercising their calls, they would need to provide those by other means. And one of those could be by people who sell covered calls. I sell covered calls. Don't get mad at me. I'm just trying to make a little bit of money on the side while things consolidate before moving up, whatever. And sometimes I get pushed out of positions, but that's a risk I'm willing to take. And so if, let's say, I had previously sold a cash secured, not a cash secured put. I had sold a covered call with a $4.50 strike that would have expired on the 19th, so on Friday. But I decided to buy that back because I thought for sure we're closing well above $4.50, and the like $100 or whatever it was to buy back that contract, I'm up more than that with the shares. So I want to keep those shares. And so those are different ways to provide shares to those who exercise, either by market makers having the shares to then provide them, or by those who sold covered calls, them getting assigned and their shares getting moved over to those who exercise their calls. But if neither of those options happen, market maker needs to buy shares to then provide to those who exercise their calls. And so a way for a market maker to suppress the price is to increase the strikes. So if, let's say, price is at 13, but they want to suppress it lower, but if everybody's buying calls with strikes that are in the money and then they exercise them, then they have to buy a bunch of shares. They have to provide those shares. But then if we're market makers, so we're going to create a 14, 15, all the way up to $30 strikes. And then so let's say I'm really bullish, but I don't have a lot of money for the premium for the $13 strike call. Then I maybe would buy the $20 strike or the $30 strike, with market makers knowing that the price is likely to be below that. So they're not going to have to provide those shares. So it's kind of a way of diluting the leverage that is created from options. And so we're not seeing that yet as far as I can tell. So I'm just going to add this $13 strike call over here so we can look at it. And the way that we can see is that over here, these contracts, it's behind Ed and it's behind the chat. So I'm just going to remove the chat and I'm going to remove Ed for a second. Ed, get out of here. We can see that this contract, the highest strike call for the monthly, goes back to August 25th. So like a month ago. So these contracts weren't recently added. And that's the highest strike that we're seeing for this expiration. But if we start to see 14, 15, and so on, then that's going to be a sign that, hey, maybe NEO's topped. Not necessarily organically, but because market makers can't keep buying shares to provide to those who are, exercising calls. So they try to dilute that bullishness in the contract. So hopefully that makes sense, but we're not seeing that yet. Maybe we'll see it tomorrow. I'll post for sure if we're seeing that tomorrow. But that's something that I'm looking at with not only NEO, but also with AMC, because whenever that happens, retail FOMOs in with the higher strikes, and then those contracts go to zero, and then market makers walk away with money, and the stock price stops going higher. So my thoughts on NEO right now are that maybe we could be at some resistance around here, like there's that inverse head and shoulders, but maybe we, do something like this. So that's a possibility. But yeah, short term, maybe I want to pull it up in Webull so we can see the overnight trading. It looks like overnight it's actually down 1.2%. It was, if I pull up the 10-minute, it did rocket up to around 790, so not getting to 8, and then pulling back to a low so far in the past 10 minutes of $7.18, so a little bit lower than over here, but it's currently, it looks like, at 728. So this is just, low volume in the overnight, and, people getting shaken out of their positions. Because, from the after hours trading on Friday, volume in the overnight here looks pretty high. But look at that volume compared to the market hours. It's nothing. So this is all noise. It's only really useful data in the chart, in my view, until the market's open, because that's when you get the real volume on the chart. So yeah, I think that this could be consolidating up here and then going up past 8, maybe to 10. But so thank you for that request. I'm going to get on to the other ones because I'm rambling a little bit. And so, yeah, Marvin has the request of Hycroft. So, yeah, I'll pull that up. And what I might do is I'll pull up Hycroft over here in TradingView so I can do some new drawings, HYMC. And then we can also pull it up in Webull because I'll have some like legacy drawings. So, yeah, this, to be honest, is looking pretty good. Because, I'll explain my reasoning for that. But yeah, let's see. My reasoning for that is that, we see, actually, maybe not though. Maybe it's starting to get a little bit exhausted because I'm looking at this high volume here from September 2nd. We have this big wide ranging candle here. And then price goes higher. As price is going higher, the volume is actually a little bit lower than it was over here, but price is going higher. So there's a little bit of divergence there. So we see higher highs in the stock price, and we see lower highs in the volume. So that makes me a little bit concerned. However, what we're seeing in the RSI, ever so slightly, we're seeing higher highs. So there's no bearish divergence just yet. And then also what we see over here, lower highs so far. We're also seeing, a lower high in the volume. Although this is a pretty widespread candle that's backed up by less volume, so that might be suggesting some weakness. But we're also seeing, lower high, also a lower high in the RSI. So there's no bearish divergence. So I think that's really good. If we were to, let's see, I'm not sure what color this is, but if we were like to combine these two candles, so there's that little box there. That's kind of like a big green candle going up. Maybe I should do it like that. You get the idea. And then we basically have a 3 or 4, rising 3 methods is what it would be. And so I can pull up, I think that this is a really cool pattern, rising 3 methods. And so AI overview or, skip an AI, let's go to Investopedia. They have a really nice, explanation of this. And they also have this nice image where you have a big green candle followed by 3 red inside bars, and then a big green engulfing candle, and that suggests a continuation to the upside. And so we can see that what is a rising 3 methods? A rising 3 methods is a bullish continuation candlestick pattern. And so that's enough said there. I kind of see this as being similar to that, where you got the big green candle here. If you combine them, then, this is going outside, but we see this pullback and then a big green candle. But it is a lower high, so there is some weakness there. We've also had, and I say we, but I'm not in it. I'm sorry. I kind of wish I was, but at the same time, I really don't like the options data on it. I'm just trying to think, where is the bottom that I want to look at with this? Probably from, just like right over here, more recent bottom. So like this pullback, I'm just going to do a fib retracement so we can see from here up to the top. Just got that lined up with the top of the wick there. Did pull back to the 236 and bounced. And so now I'm kind of wondering if it maybe could it did this and then bounced, lower high. I think YouTube's having some issues. Hopefully I'm not all buggy. Lower high, and then maybe it stair steps down to the 50% retracement, which could correspond with the 50-day SMA, which is currently around 435, but as price is above right now, maybe it would get to around 467, and that could serve as a bottom, and then this starts to go back up. So that's potentially what I could see happening with this. It has had a pretty big move from the lows over here, up over 100%. So, yeah, I think a healthy pullback would be fine. And then also, this is lower than over here, so it's not really like an inverse head and shoulders. But we do have, it's kind of wonky. Maybe I'll just connect it over here to like the pivot low over there. Maybe that's something. And this is also on the log scale. So I don't know if that's better or worse on the log scale. But I think I actually I like looking at them on the log scale a little bit. But yeah, I could see it being at some resistance right now. And also I think it's a good indicator to consider what other people are saying. If everybody's bullish saying Hycroft's going to go to, you know, whatever, up, maybe it's going to cool off a little bit first. So that's kind of my 2 cents, I guess, about it. That I'd say it's probably going to be pulling back to around 460, maybe $5, let's say. And then perhaps continue higher. If I do look at the charts that I have over here, I'll pull up TRL and I'll do Hycroft Mining, HYMC. This is going to have a bunch of crap on it, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, we've broken out from all these levels that I charted over here. And, you know, I just kind of stopped following it. But it did, you know, respect the purple line more or less. But yeah, I mean, not too valuable where we're currently at. But yeah, congrats to those who held. You know, I sold down here at some point. I just need to clean up the portfolio so I don't regret it or anything. I didn't have a super huge position, and I think I got out at break even, if not a little bit of profit. So I'm not too sad about that. But I would have made more profit had I just held. But oh well. And then coming back over to here, I'm just going to look up the flow for, let's see, I'm just going to clean this up. Hycroft Mining. And I'm just going to search whatever contract. I don't really care. I really just want to look at the call and put premium. And so we can see over the past 30 days, I might actually expand this so we can look at it a little bit closer. Oh, and I'm going to bring Ed back too. Sorry, buddy. And so this is just the 1 day. So 1 day, this is why I don't really like Hycroft. Net put premium, 1.6 thousand. That's nothing. Net call premium, 35,000. Being red, being down, so that's not so great. But it's only 35,000. That's not a lot of money. I mean, for me to be trading, that's a lot of money. But as far as option contracts, that's not whales moving it. But if we do go back 30 days, or let's first try 14, we can see this pretty big spike over here. That's almost $700,000 net call premium spike up there. Let's just look at this on the 30-day time frame. Yeah, I mean, that's lots of call premium going in there. So that would have been a signal, hey, maybe this is going higher. But at the same time, it's not millions of dollars. And so maybe that's you see a pullback after that. And we did see a little bit of a pullback. The yellow is the stock price, but then it did continue higher. So that looked pretty good. So yeah, I mean, I just think, and you look at this chart, it's kind of nice when you look at charts in different perspectives. It kind of looks like there's a little bit of a double top here. And so if we do look over at the chart here, is that a double top? Maybe you can consider that, but it's a lower high. I think that what we could see, though, is RSI breakout. And then with RSI breaking out, or maybe we get a move higher, but RSI doesn't break out, then I think that might be, you know, the last leg. But yeah, I mean, the RSI over here was 82.09. That's pretty high. And Friday it closed at 71.60. So I think that it's starting to show signs of it being weakness, but it could still have another leg up. And if it were to have another leg up, let's see, I could do a fib extension. And let's see, I'm going to do a fib extension, but I'm going to do it with the assumption that it pulls back to the 50% extension. Excuse me, I belched a little bit. So yeah, from the low here to the top, and then let's assume that it comes down to where I've doodled to. And then we could see where that would take price. That would take it to close to $10. But then, you know, I can move that up to like 10 if we don't get down to 460. And maybe I'll just extend that over there. So, I mean, I think that's pretty interesting. So yeah, I mean, I think that Hycroft could be hitting 10. Let's say I think 6 months is a good time frame. So yeah, I mean, I just kind of, yeah, keep it easy. Like I wouldn't, like with this, I wouldn't get super bullish now. Like, I mean, if I had shares down here, this is the way that I am. Everybody's different. I'd trim a little bit here so that if it does pull back, I can just buy back those shares and some extra maybe cheaper before it going higher. And then maybe, and also maybe this part doesn't happen. Maybe it continues lower. Then at least you took some profits here and got those shares back lower and then reevaluate. But if it does, continue higher, if it does go up to 10, trim, not sell all. Because if you sell all and it goes up to 10, maybe you FOMO in at 10 and you become a bag holder. But if you trim, then you're taking some risk off the table so you can buy back here. But if it doesn't pull back, you still got some on the table for the ride to 10. So that's how I would do this. But everybody's different. It also depends on your position size. If you're getting like kind of emotional about the move, getting a little bit euphoric, maybe it's because the position size is a little too big. Or maybe if you're buying up here because you didn't buy enough down here, maybe your position size isn't big enough. So then maybe you don't want to trim here in case it does go higher. You feel more comfortable trimming. And because you want more shares, since it's not as big of a position as you'd like, you should already be happy to be buying down here. So I think it's good to think about upside, downside, and have plans for either way. And I think that Hycroft gives a compelling case for a pullback and dip buying opportunity, but also for, a move up to 10 in the next 6 months, given a longer time frame perspective. But yeah, I appreciate the request. It's cool to go over Hycroft. And let's see, I'm just going to follow up on the chats. And let's see, I see that I'm looking at chats that I can post up here, but I might just kind of catch up on stuff that I can see in OBS. I do see that Hydra Hustla is here. What's up, man? I'll cheers to you. How's it going? And so you got a request for MBX, so I'll pull that up. Oh, and Hydra Hustla also has Wolf. Very interesting. I've gotten some alerts on that when I'm not in it. I think it's too speculative, but I've got some alerts on it. People could have made a lot of money with it. I could have made a lot of money had I held. But yeah, I'll pull up the other chats. I'm just going to go through them in order that they've appeared. So Anon was asking RIOT or Mara, which is better miner stock? I don't know. I don't really know miner stocks that well. One that I've been pretty intrigued by is IRIN, which is because of Mike Alfred. You can find him on X. I think that he's just a really smart guy and, really good investor. But maybe his sarcasm might rub you the wrong way. So take some of his stuff with a grain of salt. But he's been, talking about this for a while. And this has just performed so well. This is on the log scale. We look at this linear. This is really taken off. And, so this is a miner, I believe, and they are more in the, I think, energy aspect of mining, Bitcoin and, data centers, infrastructure, stuff like that. I kind of regret not getting into this. I'm not in it. But this has definitely been a better performer than Mara or iBit. Those are two that I hold. The ETH treasury companies and whatnot. So I feel like this one's really compelling, but it's already taken off. So I think that this is chasing now. So I am not going to do that. And I would discourage that. But if we look over here to check out TrendSpider, and then if I search their page for, let's see, RIOT and Mara. Yeah, this is from September 18th, the latest. This is the one. So follow the leader, Bitcoin Miners Edition. Going over this live during the stream. And then I will do mining. There we go. And then I'll also do FTW for the win. High five. And so, yeah, so this, TrendSpider, sometimes they post some really garbage stuff, sometimes they don't. But I mean, that's the same with everybody. I've seen people being pretty critical of TrendSpider. But this, I mean, the same sector, this is on the monthly. What you saw with Riot is a breakout. And you see a very similar pattern with Mara. And so Benjamin, I don't know if you're still with me, but you know, I think that Mara is looking pretty good. So, I mean, if Mara is to repeat or to copy what Riot's done, that would make me think, you know, basically the highs over here, kind of like the highs over here. And so that would mean Mara could be getting to like $24, maybe $26 like I was talking about. So let's look at Mara again. And so the $26, that is based on this fib extension right there. From the low down to here and then up. Yeah, and so Mara I find to be pretty compelling because it's like effectively already completed the inverse head and shoulders, whereas Neo looks like it's right in the armpit here. So there could be a pullback with that. But yeah, I mean, $26, that matches with, you know, the comparison over here. And then just, you know, to kind of compare that, you know, if there's this head and shoulders pattern and a move up, inverse head and shoulders pattern and a move up, let's then look over at Riot. And we can kind of see, you know, this is like the head, armpit, and right shoulder. And maybe I want to actually extend that forward in time so we can just see that line a little better. That will be suggesting that Riot could be going up a little bit higher to around 20. But yeah, I mean, it does look like it's kind of rolling over a little bit. But maybe it does get a push up to 20. But yeah, generally, I mean, comparing Riot and Mara. So like from over here, so this is like gap down around their earnings, August 25th. So from August 25th or August 1st, 2025, not 25th. But yeah, so from like over here up, that's up about 60%. All right. And so then let's look at Mara from around the beginning of August, which is, you know, like right over here, pretty similar. And so Mara is only up about 20%. And so going up 60%, that will be beyond this neckline here. That's getting it to like 44%. And so if this were, I gotta fix that. If this were to do 60% from, you know, the 1st of August, you know, that would put it at $24. And, you know, 24, 26, something like that. That seems to match with like the highs over here. I can see 24 on the y-axis there. So 26 will probably be like the highs here. And so, yeah, but also note this is the monthly and these are log charts. So, you know, this right here is similar to the candle here. So that's like saying 3 months from now, Mara could be, you know, where Riot is because we got these 3 monthly candles that are ahead of Mara's. So I'd say by the end of the year, Mara could be around $24 to $26. That seems to match their analysis. That also seems to match my analysis over here. So I'd say at this point, Mara's better than Riot because Riot's already moved. Same with Iron. Iron's already moved. Iron seems like it's probably got more to go, but I think that, Mara hasn't moved enough yet. It hasn't gone parabolic, like Iron has. So I am sticking with Mara. And then Anon was saying, I said Ron earlier. And Chestad has, like before that, Anon is saying, why did AMC get a stake in Hycroft 3 years ago? I don't get it. I think it's really just to hedge against the dollar. And so, rather than doing that in gold, though, you kind of, like with a miner, you get more risk, but then you also potentially get more reward because it's not only the gold and silver. I think Hycroft Mining has a lot more silver in their location than gold. But regardless, not only do you get that metal and whatever other minerals they could be mining, but you're also getting the business that's there. So, it's like double the risk, double the reward potentially. Like rather than just getting gold to have on the balance sheet or Bitcoin to have on the balance sheet, they bought a stake in the miner. And so I think, I think it's just to hedge against, and, I don't know how you guys feel about movies lately, but, I just feel like they've been, like all of the character has been stripped away from them. Like, I grew up, I was born in the 80s, but I didn't really like appreciate movies or start to appreciate movies until like the 90s. But it's like I got exposed to movies from the 80s and 90s. Star Wars came out in the late 70s. And that like Terminator, oh my gosh. Alien. I just don't think that the movies that are coming out now have the same kind of grit and the integrity that they used to. And I think we need to get back to that. And so with that, fewer people are going to movie theaters. And also streaming stuff, I hate it. Like there's a movie called, I think it's called The Rip or just Rip, with Matt Damon, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck and Chandler, the guy, he was like the FBI agent or whatever in The Wolf of Wall Street, and then also what's his name? He was Glenn in The Walking Dead. They're all in it, and I think that looks like a really good movie. It comes out in January, but it's on Netflix, and that's like a movie I'd like to go to a theater, have some popcorn, and relax, enjoy it. But I could do that at home with AMC popcorn. But yeah, it's like all this streaming stuff. It's like, I think a good American experience and a good human experience is to go to a theater, a crowded theater with a bunch of strangers, and share the experience with them, the raw emotions, whether that's fear, whether that's heartbreak, like the Nicole Kidman advertisement for AMC, all of those emotions, to be able to experience them with your neighbors, the strangers in your community in a theater. I think that's just a really good experience, a really human experience. I think that we should have more of that, not streaming by yourself, on the couch. Go to a theater, have popcorn in a movie theater. But eventually, things wax and wane, go through phases and whatnot. And then Anon is saying Amazon buys Rivian trucks, vans, so that's a big contract for them. Yeah, I think, let's see, I'll ask Grok this, but Amazon owns, I believe, at least 8%, maybe 30% of Rivian. And so let's check this out. Let's go to Grok, and I'm going to start a new chat. Let's see, a new chat, and say, how much stake in Rivian does Amazon have? Amazon holds a 17% stake in Rivian Automotive as of late 2022. The most recent detailed figures available from public disclosures. And so this stake stems from investments totaling over $1.3 billion, including a $700 million initial investment in 2019 and additional funding rounds. Earlier reports showed higher percentages, around 20% pre-IPO in 2021, but Rivian's public offering and share issuance diluted Amazon's ownership slightly. And so recent updates through mid-2025 confirm that Amazon remains Rivian's largest shareholder, with no indications of sales or further dilution affecting this position. For instance, Amazon's Q2 of 2025 earnings included valuation gains from its Rivian holdings, underscoring its ongoing commitment. So yeah, for sure. And one of the things, it's like, I think that Amazon, as well as Rivian, or Amazon's, and Rivian being a part of it, is kind of a nice example of how sometimes, I think that the free market does better than government. And so government, we have the United States Postal Service, or USPS, and they deliver mail. That's what we pay with our taxes. I don't know how much of our taxes go to that, but that is a service that the U.S. government provides to us. However, I remember being a little kid and we get UPS, United Parcel Service, and then FedEx, and then I forget what the other, there was one that was R, it was yellow. It kind of reminds me of a cryptocurrency. But, those kind of did packages, whereas USPS didn't. But now USPS also does kind of packages and stuff. But Amazon does, the store, the packaging, the delivery, all of that. And they do it very efficiently. And so I think that, I don't know how much of our taxes go into USPS, on an individual basis, but I think that if you're paying for Amazon Prime and you get Amazon Video and, shipping, whatever, then it's but then how much postage are you paying for with USPS? So yeah, I think that Amazon has done what the USPS does, but they've done it better, kind of like a direct-to-consumer type of deal. And with the delivery vehicles, with them using Rivians, it's been a while. I haven't really gotten out of town recently, but I've definitely seen Rivian vehicles around Chicago, and my understanding, Rivian Amazon delivery vehicles. And my understanding is, to me, that seems like the future for fleets. Why would you have fleets that require fuel when you can just plug them in? And especially if you can plug them in and have that connected to solar or wind, or some renewable energy source, then you're not paying for that fuel. So yeah, anyways, I think that it's Rivian, Amazon, very compelling, but at the same time, my understanding of Rivian is their finances are not in the best position, whereas Tesla is in really great shape. So yeah, for me, I don't hold any Rivian. I was very intrigued by them before, and I had just gone over, I think the chart looks pretty good. But for me, I'm excited about Tesla going up, and at the Charlie Kirk Memorial today, there were photos of Trump and Elon chatting. So we got the bromance back potentially. So I think that's nice. I think that's one of the nice things when we lose people, that people come together, they put their differences aside. And so it seems like that's happening in some notable ways, but I hope that it's able to happen to bring the two sides together. I suspect I'm not referring to Trump and Elon, I'm referring to the left and the right. I don't imagine that's going to happen, but I don't know if you guys saw the service at all today, but it was nice to see. I'm drawing a blank. I'm streaming, and I'm tired. Erica Kirk speak. Yeah, very moving. I'm not going to talk about it because I will get moved, and I don't want to do that. But yeah, I mean, I'm not a religious person, but through, experiences that I've had in life. And by the way, Chess Dad, you're welcome. And then Hydro Hustler over here. But yeah, for me personally, I'm not religious, but I've definitely had. I feel like I have a North Star, from somebody in the past that guides me after they had passed. So it's kind of I think it's kind of similar to religion, but it's my own little thing. But yeah, I don't know. It's been a tough couple of weeks. It's been nice to see peace, so hopefully we can keep that moving forward. But anyways, Hydro Hustler is requesting Wolf as well as MBX. And Ricardo, what's up? How's it going? It's been a while. SESAI and Bull are getting hot. So I'll pull those up. I'm just going to try to go through these requests in the order that I received them. So I'm going to first start with Wolf, and then I will go to MBX. So let's look at the Wolf chart. And I might pull this up not only over here, this is Wolf speed, but also in Weeble. Yeah, because they got this massive dunk over here. It's like, are they going to be delisted? All this crap, and then got a pump here. I haven't been following it. I had a position, I had done some videos on it, but then, oh wow, there are multiple gaps down. That's pretty crazy. But yeah, I started to get out of it. And the chart in Weeble, I think we'll be able to see a little bit better. But yeah, from this gap down over here, this was in March earlier this year, from the bottom, or let's say from the gap down level, it went up 44%, and the gap down level here, it went up about 90%, and then over here, from the bottom to the top, about, over 100%. Yeah, so I think that this could just potentially continue to repeat. Maybe it's doing like, let's see. Maybe it's doing, let's go from up here, left shoulder, head. That's kind of interesting that seems to line up there. That's super ugly, though. I don't think that's real. But yeah, kind of got a little hiccup there. So like broke out, pull back, retest, then bounce. And so with that, I think that's probably good to do a fib retracement just from the lows here up to those highs. And so it's already done a retracement to the 618. I could see it coming back to the 786. That's around 168. And that would be probably corresponding with right around the 50-day SMA. That's at 157 right now. So coming down to around 170, 160. But for me personally, I don't like to trade stocks that are, such low value and really like kind of speculative and stuff. But also too, a comparison, we see a move up to about same price here. Lots of volume. And then we see another push to that level and actually going higher. So we see higher highs in the stock price. We also see higher highs in the RSI, but we see lower highs in the volume. So that kind of tells me that we will be seeing a retracement. We already have down to the 618, but that tells me that this is kind of a double top. It's not looking too strong. So I'd wait for a pullback to at around 170 or 169. Oops, got to have fun with the numbers. So yeah, but I think generally Wolf Speed is one that, I think is just pretty risky. And, maybe it could be, a huge winner, long term, but for me, my perspective, this seems like a double top with lower volume. So yeah, I think pulling back to 170 to 150 seems likely, but then I'll just pull it up over here so we can see that. All of my drawings from over here. Yes, we broke below these trend lines. So breaking below these trend lines, those would have been, not necessarily over here, but over here for sure. Good dip buying opportunities. But yeah, just risky. And it looks like there's the 200-day simple moving average just above where we were at. So there's some resistance above. So yeah, I think it's risky. But yeah, so hopefully that's helpful. And oh, sorry, and if your comment blocked the RSI, I'm not terribly used to having the chats up. But yeah, and then I'll pull up MBX real quick, but then I want to go over to Ricardo's request. MBX. This is MBX Biosciences. Let's see, what do we have here? I mean, we were putting in, higher lows, really just being kind of approximate. So it's kind of like, this is the way that I see it. If I just doodle it out a little bit, go up, bounce from that line, bounce from the 50-day simple moving average, then break below it, but then get caught and bounce from that trend line approximately down to the 50 SMA and then break through. And so what I could see is a bounce to that 50-day to around 1277, maybe 13. But I think that this would probably be finding a lot of resistance around $13. And let's see, if I do a fib retracement from the top to the bottom, that could correspond with, 1319 is going to be the 618. The 50%, I didn't plan this out, but that 50% matched up perfectly with my doodle at 1250. So I feel like 1250 to 1320, maybe 1360, getting back up to that trend line. I think that could happen, but following that, I think that's what would happen. So long term, I think it's risky. Short term, I think you could potentially get a 20 to 30% bounce. But I think it's probably going lower because it's pretty clearly broken that trend line. And we do have, although we do have a lot of volume here and the spread doesn't match, it's a narrow spread candle. So that kind of makes me think that this is being absorbed. So yeah, I mean, I think that this could be suggesting, so there's a divergence. If there was a large volume and this was dropping down, that would suggest a continuation. But since there's large volume and it only came down a little bit, that means, as far as I understand, that it's being absorbed and that a reversal is likely to happen, that it's not likely to continue going down because of this divergence. So I could definitely see it going up for a 20 to 30% bounce, but ultimately rolling over. So be cautious with that one, but hopefully that's helpful. And then now I will go over this for Ricardo. And just to note, I've been streaming for about 1 hour and 47 minutes. I don't have work tomorrow, but I don't want to be up too late. And so I'll just pull this up. SES AI Corporation. Not looked at this one. Oh, I mean, with Thursday's move going up over 21%, looks like 21.54%. I think this looks kind of risky. Yeah, and this is something that, it's like you got the large volume here, big spread in the candle. So that looks good. But then what you want to see, and I'm actually going to adjust this box. What you want to see, I'm going to make the fill, I'll do it like 20%, see what that looks like. And then I'll make the outside yellow. I don't know how that looks, if that looks good or bad. But yeah, I mean, you want to see consolidation here. So that'd be like a bull flag. And with that consolidation, you want to see volume come down. But, following that big move, we actually saw volume go higher. And so like on Thursday, we saw a volume of 18.91 million. You can see the number right over here or up here. And so, yeah, or I guess over here, 19.69 million for Friday. But for Thursday, we saw it go up 18.91 million. Friday 1969. So volume's going up, but that spread in the candle's pretty narrow. So there's some divergence there. So what would be great is to see, I guess I'm not going to doodle it out because I have that box there. You want to see that consolidation with decreasing volume, but we're not seeing that. We're seeing increased volume. And so I would then probably take a fib retracement just from like the fake out breakdown below that 50 SMA up to the high from Friday, just lining it up, being approximate. The 50% is a level that I kind of like, 50 to 61.8 or the 618. So the yellow to green region here. And so the reason why I like that retracement is because we got this like 3-step here, sideways consolidation before continuing higher. So if we do pull down to like $1.32, I think there'd be support there. Maybe we get into that support, dip a little bit lower. So I think like, let's say 135 to like 125 could be a nice dip buying opportunity on a pullback for the next leg up, if that happens, but maybe it just continues to roll over. Also, I mean, we got the consolidation highs over here. That's around like, 120, or the 786 here is at 115. So, I think that like 135 to 125 could be a way, like a range to maybe establish like half a position. Like if you want to have 100 shares, you could buy 50 in that range, or one could. No advice, I'm just thinking about it. But then if it does come down lower to the 786, around 115, maybe 120, then you could get the other half of the position and then reevaluate, see how things are looking. But also just to note, corresponding with that 786 is the 50-day simple moving average at 115. But since price is up so much higher, I suspect that moving average is going to go higher. And so I think that like a pullback to like 125 could be a nice dip buying opportunity if this is to continue going higher. It doesn't have to. It could, just pull back and not go higher. So I could see it do something like this. Pull back to that green line and then start to make its way up. Oh, and then maybe it retests that and then it goes higher. Something like that. No idea. But if it does consolidate in this box, you want to see volume go down. If it starts to consolidate here and volume is still pretty elevated, that means that buyers are going to be getting exhausted, or they're getting exhausted because all of that volume, the trading of hands, shares going back and forth, but nobody's buying aggressively enough to get a breakout. So that would mean that it's exhausted and then it'd probably be pulling back. But if it starts to consolidate here with lower volume, that means nobody's willing to sell here and that it's likely to go for the next leg higher. And so if it does do something like what I've doodled, I can do a Fibonacci extension. So going from the low here up to the high and then to the hypothetical like 50% retracement. I'll just do it over here so we can see it a little bit better. And that would be suggesting price could be going up to 188. Coincidentally, no idea. That happens to line up with my doodle. But maybe it doesn't pull back all the way down to the 50%, and maybe it consolidates above the 236. And that would be, let's see, basically the lows from Friday, which was like 147. Here, the 236 looks like it's around 147. And so let's say that's the low. That would correspond with a move to the upside of around $2. And I do not have a coincidental doodle associated with that. And so with that being said, I'll leave it like that to 188. And yeah, so I mean, I want to be surprised if it pulls back to 135 down to 115. So I think that's kind of the range to work with. And some like kind of a way that I think is good to trade is, ask yourself, do I have to hold this? No, I don't have to hold this. Whether it's SCS or whatever stock it is, it doesn't matter. There's nothing that says I have to hold it. And so if I don't have a position in SES, but I'm excited about it and I want to have a position in it, I can ask myself, do I have to hold this? No. Okay, so I'm not holding it. I'm not going to FOMO buy up here. But if it comes down to 135, then I'll start to build a position. Maybe buy a quarter of a position at 135. Another quarter at 125. And then my average is at 130. And it's like, okay, that's fine. Then I'll buy another quarter at 120 and another quarter at 115. And then after that, maybe evaluate for a stop loss or something. But, I think that could be a nice plan to have. But, you got to do what works for you. Everybody's emotions are different. Everybody's bank accounts and, exposure, whatnot are different. But, yeah, I think I'm caught up on the chat, but it's possible I'm not. Oh, yeah, and SES, and then also Bull getting hot. And so one thing, I actually took a screenshot of this, so maybe I'll send it to my computer, and then I can show you guys. Because I think I can. Maybe I'll try doing this live. I just got to find it. Let's see. Yeah, so let's experiment with phone mirroring while streaming. Unable to connect to iPhone. And so I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to figure that out while streaming. I will just airdrop this to myself. All right. And then I can open this up. This is one thing that I don't like about Webull. It reminds me of like 4 years ago. Crypto is back. 50 plus market leaders and emerging tokens. The new era of finance, all on Webull. Explore now. Skip in 3 seconds. So they're trying to promote crypto on Webull. And so I really don't like how Webull implemented crypto because 4 years ago, I got something in my eye or something, I don't know. 4 years ago, you were able to buy crypto, but you weren't able to send them to wallets. And so it kind of put you in a position of not being able to, move to long-term storage or, whatever else. And I didn't like that. I mean, regardless, I probably would have lost money. I wasn't as disciplined as I am now. I feel like I'm more centered, as far as my understanding and appreciation of like the crypto markets. But I really didn't like this. Kind of put a bad taste in my mouth. I mean, I do use Webull. I do chart with it, and I do use it as my main brokerage account. But yeah, I mean, it's not like Robinhood. It's like Robinhood is the Coca-Cola, Webull's the Pepsi. Kind of like Ethereum is the Coca-Cola, Solana is the Pepsi. And, I think this is like a quote from Breaking Bad, who wants to live in a world without Coke Classic, something like that. Yeah, is one better than the other? I don't know. But who wants to live in a world with one of them, when we can have two? And so just because, feeling good about something like Robinhood, which I don't have a position in, doesn't mean that Webull can't succeed. And so since I am going over Webull, I'm just going to remove get the chat out of the way, just so it doesn't block the RSI in case I want to look at that. I don't want to be talking about it while I'm going over it. But yeah, okay, so this one. Ricardo, I have to say, I appreciate that you're saying that this is hot when it has retraced a good amount. Because like on Friday, went up 4.32%. That's a green day, but it's not up a huge amount. Let's look at it over here. Let's see, Bull. Let's see. I have some alerts. What alerts do I have? 1340. That's above. Okay. What about below? 10 and 1150. Let's see about some. I think I probably have some fib retracements here. No. Maybe I do in this chart. Yeah, I got the fib retracement right here. And that's going from the approximate lows. You can see the cursor lined up there. And then the approximate highs, you can see the cursor lined up there. And so what we've seen is a retracement to the 618, which we've already tested over here. And with it consolidating here, you know, it's like, I think it's like really interesting how when things are going up, we can see things. And then when it's going down and it's doing like the exact same thing, it's hard to see. And so maybe I'll invert the chart to illustrate this. But what we have here, you know, is this downtrend, approximate, not, you know, going on about it. We also have the 50-day SMA, 1436. And with this, we have lower highs. We also have volume being pretty low. I'm not going to try to suggest that this is breaking out or anything because it's still pretty low. We also have the RSI going low. So there's lower highs across the board. We also see, yeah, I mean, I don't really see any divergence or anything. But the thing that I'm thinking about, like if we were to invert this, actually, yeah, I mean, looking at this on the shorter time frame, we do see volume going up here. And with that, we see the highest volume backing a wider spread. So that does look pretty good. But what I was thinking about looking at this is that we see this consolidating. Actually, yeah, I mean, we see an upside move and we see this consolidating. And as this consolidates following that upside move, the big candle here, volume's diminishing. So, oh yeah, and then what I wanted to look at in the chart over here is the overnight trading. It's up about 1.58% to around 1350. That's what I wanted to look at over there. And so, I mean, the thing that kind of stands out to me, though, is we see this big red candle and then consolidation over here. So that makes me think maybe that's a bear flag. As it was consolidating, volume stayed kind of flat. So that tells me that buyers really aren't stepping in here to push it up. Even with the move up on Friday, it's still kind of, you know, in this range. But if there's a surge in volume, I think that this could be breaking out. And the way that I would view it, you know, I was trying to think of it as like maybe this is a bear flag and it could go lower. Really just thinking about like it coming down to like $12, the 786 there. But what I see with this is actually, let's see, I'm just going to make sure I'm going from the lows, a fib extension from the bottom here to the top here, and then whatever the lows are. You know, maybe it goes lower and then it just pulls that target back a little bit. But let's say the lows where it's at now, $20. That's a 100% extension. So the distance from here up to there. Or, you know, the 1618, sorry, I'm zooming in and out so much. Just kind of sensitive with all the movements over here. But yeah, the 1618 is at a price of like 25 something. 25.50. Yeah, and I think that this looks pretty good. I'm going to look at some options data for this one. And I'll just pull that comment back up, the chat. Options data for Webull. Let's just look up the flow and bull. So I'm not looking up any particular chart. I'm not going to look up the put. I'll look up the call. But really, I just want to get this data over here. And so this is just one day. We see net call premium in green coming down. So that's kind of bearish. Net put premium going up, so that's kind of bearish. We saw net call premium come down by 1.2 million, while net put premium went up by just under about 500,000. But if we take a step back, past 7 days, nothing's really standing out too much. 14 days, nothing's really standing out too much. 30 days, lots of calls up here, 5.39 million, but then price went down following that. So not too much there. But yeah, I mean, I think that generally this looks pretty good. But then it's, the question of, does one need to hold it? And, I'm saying does one, because I'm not saying you, I'm not saying me, a hypothetical person. But yeah, I wanted to adjust the alerts to like $12 because I have one for $11.50. I don't think that's going to get hit, and I'm going to delete the $10 one. And $13.40, that's going to be bugging me, so I'm going to move it up to the 50-day simple moving average at $14.36, or maybe I'll just do it at $14.20, so there's a $4.20 in there. But yeah, those are some levels I'd look at for that. And 1436, 1436, they're the exact same. So that's pretty cool. And then Ricardo's following up with the bull comment. Bull and SERV chart are similar. So let's look up the SERV chart as well. SERV, SERV, so that's SERV Robotics. Hopefully this is the correct one. Yep. Upside move, long consolidation. And so I'm going to have to fumble with this, but I'm going to try to copy this chart so then I can paste it onto Webull. But yeah, I mean, this similar in that, retracement and then kind of like upside targets there. So that's kind of what I'm seeing as far as these being similar. Up, consolidation, upside. And so this is like over the span of 112 calendar days or 77 trading days. If I do flip back to Webull, we can see that this consolidation has really just started if they're to be similar. So I think it's probably got some more time to be consolidating. And then I think it would, break out above this and then retest. I think that's kind of what SERV did. So I'll pull up SERV again and I'll try to get the chart pattern. And how do I do that? Let's see. Let's see. Okay, maybe it's this. I got to fumble with this for a second. I said I would, but I think it'll be worth it. Ghost feed or bars pattern. I think I want the bars pattern. So I will take that from here to here. And then I can copy that. And hopefully I can do this. Yep. So that does look pretty similar. But I'm going to try to not move it too much to the left or right. Yeah, this is pretty cool. I don't do this very often, but it's neat. I guess I will. I'm going to stretch it a little bit. I mean, it's not I don't know how well you guys can see that, so I might. Something like that. I mean, it's all kind of approximate. But yeah, I mean, I do think that looks pretty similar. So yeah, good call, Ricardo. I like for me, I'm not looking to get into any more positions until I take some profits on some calls. And while I could do that with Mara, I think that's going to go higher. So I'm just going to chill with it. But with Webull, I think it could be for sure heading up to $20. But that might take, between now and the end of the year. So, but when it does break out, notice, let's see, I'm going to stretch this. I think this is like a bad practice. I'm going to stretch this some. I got to adjust the y-axis so it doesn't move itself. So I'm going to stretch that. So, yeah, I mean, look at that. Kind of similar. Move up, consolidate, break out, and then retest. So right now, what we need to see is the breakout, the retest, and then the continuation higher. And so we haven't seen that yet, but if I delete the bar pattern, which I'll bring back just because I think it's a cool little idea there, that's what we should be expecting. So that could be a move to like $15.75 to $16, and then a pullback to $13.60, and then start to go higher. So yeah, I could see this go up. We just take a measurement by close to 20%, but not quite, like 17% in maybe the next week. But then after that, we would see a pullback of about 13% before, another move up 20%, then pull back up. So yeah, very cool chart. And I would say that if initially I was looking at this and I was like, I'm kind of bearish. But now looking at this and having recognized this downtrend that we might be breaking out of, I think that this looks pretty good because we get a surge in volume. If this spikes up, volume goes up, the stock's going to go up. So yeah, that Webull looks good. I like this one. Maybe this is something for me to consider making a video on. So yeah, very cool suggestion. And I will end the stream here in a minute, but I'm just going to go over SGBX. This was requested from a chat, and it's currently at around $10 in the after hours from Friday. Closed Friday at $9.82. I feel like this looks like a long-term, really bad investment. And the reason for that, you see that, I don't know if you can see the M on the chart there. There's a reverse split. Guess what the reverse split was? 1 for 5, 1 for 10, 1 for 15. No, 1 for 64. So that's a pretty big reverse split. I mean, I guess it could have been 1 for 100, but 1 for 64 is pretty big. And kind of a rule of thumb, which I think is from Quodwo in the chat from a while ago. He said that, a good rule of thumb is if you go back 2 years and the stock price is above $1,000, they've been diluting too much. They've been doing too many reverse splits. And so with this one, if we do go back 2 years, if we go back a year and less than a half, so this is like May of 2024, We got a reverse split here, 1 for 20. What was the high on this day? The high was 595. And so if we're going back less than a year and a half and it's at 595, I'm guessing that it's going to be above 1,000 a year ago. So let's do this kind of exact. So from where we're currently at, going back 365 times 2, so 365, it's like 350 is going to be 700, and then plus 30, so 730 days. We can actually see it's behind Ed, so I'll have him step out of the way for a second. But yeah, you can see right here, 925. So that's about a year ago. 21. Actually, the low from 21. Was that above 1,000? Let's just come down to here. The low here, that's 400. Gap up here, that's 800. Gap fill, that's above 1,000. So yeah, they've been diluting too much or splitting too much, reverse splitting too much. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that this is probably just going to be going lower. So I feel like this is just a pretty risky one. It's just dropped a bunch. There's very little volume. How many shares were traded on Friday? This is like the biggest volume. Let's see. Volume was less than 200,000 shares. I think that this one's probably going to continue bleeding. I would want to stay away from it. So those are my thoughts on it. Hopefully they're helpful, but I'm sure I don't know anything about the company. And one of the things that I think is like the most important thing about this that I've kind of appreciated for myself is if somebody says something looks good or something looks bad, it doesn't mean anything to me. I have to find that conviction myself, whether that's by charting it, whether that's by looking at the options data, whether that's by learning more about the company or the product that they're making, or learning about some news that's on the horizon. And so, it doesn't matter, and also, who trades it? Is it more retail heavy? Is it more like, is it a meme stock, or is it more, institutionally owned, whatever? And so, it's like you need to get to know the stock, like kind of like the relationship with it. And so any of my analysis here, I don't know this stock at all, but I think that it looks pretty risky. So that's all that I'd say there. And then I think Ricardo had another chat in there. So he's saying it was amazing. Thanks so much. Yeah, no problem. Thank you for the request. And so what I might do is I might note Webull in my little notepad here, because that is a chart that looks pretty interesting to me. Of basically all of the ones that I went over, because I've gone over Mara in the past. I'm just going to actually scroll through the chat. Wolf, I think, seems risky. MBX. RIVN, I think looks good, but I mean, maybe that's one that I'd consider. But I think that Webull looks a little bit more exciting as far as the chart goes. Just looks cleaner. And then Hycroft Mining, there's just not enough options data there. And so maybe actually that's something I'll consider. Webull, and then I'll also write down RIVN because I should look into the options data. And maybe there's something there that would make me feel, have more conviction in the move to the upside. And Webull, same. No matter what, if I'm going to do a video, I'm going to use some options data to inform upon it. And, went over Neo and Mara and, and AMC and stuff. So, I think that's pretty much it. So I'm probably just going to end this stream here. And so I will close with this as usual. As always, those are just my thoughts. If you found them helpful, make sure, oh, wait. Can you just, oh, okay, I scrolled up to the top of the chat. So I'm actually just going to hide that there. So anyways, as always, those are just my thoughts. If you found them helpful, make sure you like the video, share your thoughts in the comments down below, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more Ticker Request lives like this every Sunday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. And I will be streaming tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern to just do a little 30-minute overview, and then maybe I'll get a Webull chart out, analysis out, maybe RIVN as well. But I've got to be focusing on being productive at home during the day. So yeah, hopefully you guys can join for the 30-minute stream tomorrow. But if not, 30 minutes should be pretty digestible, and hopefully there's a lot of good info in it as well. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Hopefully you have a great rest of your evening, great start to your week. And yeah, I'll see you later. Take care, you guys. Bye-bye. Oh, I hit stop recording, not start streaming. Now I'm going to stop.